and that's what you should do anyway. If you see somebody's upset, don't get right up in their face. Aim for positive contact, find the need, ask what's wrong. That is the main thing. Sometimes they will not tell you. If they're nonverbal, you're going to have to find a way for them to communicate. And let's talk about that. You're restraining a student, they're on the ground, and you have their arms, and they don't speak. How would you take care of that? They're nonverbal, you have them in a restraint on the ground.
They can understand you, maybe ask them to nod their head.
Nod their head.
Blink.
2 blinks. Yes, I was going to say blink. And you might have to somehow let them use a sensor pad to touch it, which I understand their hands would be, but usually nodding their head, they understand what you're saying to some extent. Or you'll have to figure it out, what works for them. Repeat back, just so that you know what they said. You don't want you to assume, well, he said this, or he didn't take this, and you're totally off base. Y'all remember the little game you used to do? Somebody would tell something to you, you tell the next person, and then it'd always be different by the end. That's what we don't want. Show concern, show empathy. If you cannot do anything for that person, just let them know you're there for them. There's a lot of problems that people come up to me, I can't help them, I know nothing about that. And I'll tell them straight up, I'll find somebody who can, if I can't help you. How to explore the options. Brainstorm solutions with the individual or with others. We do not, and this is the hardest part, even myself. You come to me with a problem, I'm going to try to solve it. That is not what we want to do. You want that child to solve the problem. You want him to come up with the options. You want him to pick what's best for that child, because then they have some ownership in it. So if they're going to say, I failed a math test today, why don't you study more? That might not be the best option at that time. You can't just tell the kid what he needs to do. Now, you can lead a kid to an answer, but it still needs to be their choice. Good on that? We're going to go over all this in a little bit. Alright, brainstorming solutions with the individual. Ask, what can we do to solve your problem? Real simple. And they're going to give you, hopefully, a couple options. Can I retake the test? Can you find me a tutor? Can you do the work for me? Can I pay somebody to do the work for me? And you can you call my mom? Can you do this? There's a lot of things they might come up with. When they start saying inappropriate things, just try to redirect them. As far as, okay, I'm mad at this student, I want to fight him. Yes, you can fight that student, but this can happen to you also if you fight that student. They're going to say what they need to say, and let's discuss that also. Kids are mad. They're going to start cussing sometimes if you have older kids, and they start using profanity. That is not the time to get on to them about their profanity. Let them vent. Let them say what they need to. Deal with the other later. They need to, because if you get them even more mad, it doesn't help. Let them say what they need to say. Deal with profanity later. Does that make sense as far as that? You're trying to help the problem, decrease the situation, and then, well, hey, next time let's change your language. We don't do that. And I've even had one teacher I used to work with, which do I agree with? No. If you can use that word in a sentence appropriately, you can use it in my class. Well, that's not appropriate either, but it does make you think for a second. We're using certain words that don't go in a sentence. Make sure the individual knows how to implement the solution. If you tell the kid to go talk to Mr. McCarroll about retaking a test, you need to practice with that child. Because that child goes to Mr. McCarroll, hey, coach said you're going to give me a new test. Excuse me? I ain't doing nothing. Get out of my room. So now that kid's even mad again, teach them, what would you say to Mr. McCarroll? Well, would you please let me retake a test? Little things like that. Work with them, because a lot of kids don't know how to communicate. Anytime you tell a 4-year-old, 5-year-old, 6-year-old, hey, you need to go tell that kid you're sorry, I understand. He's not going to tell you sorry. You know you got to practice with them. Because then they're going to sit there and cry. Will you go with me? I don't know if you have, my own kid does that. My 4-year-old, yeah, I need to say I'm sorry. Will you go with me? No, you're a big boy. You got to tell himself. But he still won't do it. Still got to go with him. If you can't solve the problem, provide support, redirect, send it to a counselor or someone who else can. What does redirecting mean? this does not mean you're giving in all the time. Because, okay, you giving in all the time, that's going to be a habit that child's going to know. But if a kid's really angry and you have nothing you can do for them, 5 minutes, 10 minutes on a computer, you're thinking the older teacher's going to speak, I'm giving in, he's getting his way. But you also got out of a situation where you're going to have to restrain somebody too. So you have to weigh which one's more important. Do I let him get on the computer to calm down for 5 minutes? Or is every time he know that when he acts up, he's going to get on that computer? So you have to figure that out. We had a situation last week, and I take full blame on this one, that the student had lunch. Kept saying, I'm hungry, I want some crackers. Well, I had to make a decision as far as, going to get the student the crackers, or is she going to have a meltdown later? And honestly, it was about 2 o'clock. I'm sitting here and give the student crackers because I don't want to be here until 3:30, restrain somebody.